Why would anybody say that this fruit is toxic? We eat it every day. I'm sure we have an apple lobby that works with our government and talks about how much the American public should be eating apples and promoting the health benefits and all of that. The apple is an accepted plant, but inside the apple is a seed, and in that seed is a chemical called amygdalin, and that is a precursor to cyanide. So if we analyze this apple, we find the precursor to cyanide. And as soon as we eat that amygdalin, it turns to cyanide inside of our digestion. So the fact of eating this apple, if we eat the seeds, we are consuming cyanide. It's deadly. This apple is deadly, and no one should ever eat it. Except we eat them all the time. We eat juice. Now, granted, I eat this. Most people are teaching their kids to just eat the flesh and throw away everything else. Honestly, the best way to eat this apple is to eat everything, the core and everything. But when we're making in vast quantities for the mass market, when we make applesauce or juice, it's the whole apple that dumps into the machine. All of that cyanide, the American public should be dead, but it's okay. Recently, it's fall. So I guess I shouldn't say recently. This happens every year. Every year I see the same hoopla about this plant. This plant gets ripe and gorgeous and very attractive at this time of year. It's fall. It's fall in Ohio when you're watching this. And this is poke, Phytolacca americana. And it is a very controversial plant. And it's a great example of how we take a little bit of information and we decide to outlaw, blacklist, or otherwise hate a plant. Poke isn't the evil that we make out to do. But let's talk about why. When this plant is small, everybody, in most cases, are going to agree that we use the young leaves as they come out of the ground in the spring. We can cook those. It takes a bit of doing. You have to know what you're doing with this plant. So what I'm about to say about poke, don't take that I think you should just wander around and eat it at all times. It is a plant that requires us to know it before we use it. And there are a lot of plants like that. An apple has been hugely domesticated. We can walk right up, pick it off the tree, so long as nobody has sprayed chemicals on it that will harm us, and we can eat the apple, no worries. But when we talk about the wild plants, they sort of require that we know them. Really, any plant that we're going to use that we haven't grown requires us to know a little bit about it. Some are a little more demanding, like poke. Poke we can eat when it's young. We can eat the leaves early on in spring, but you have to change the water out. You boil it and you throw out the water, and you boil it and you throw out the water, because there are toxins, there are things that are considered toxins in the tissues of the plants. But let's talk about what a toxin is, because there's all different types of toxicity. There's a very mild toxin that might make you feel a little uncomfortable. There's sort of a middle toxin that's going to make you feel really uncomfortable, send you to the bathroom, cause you a lot of crisis in the digestive area, but not kill you. And then there's the out and out deadly toxin. Actually, poke root isn't a deadly toxin. It has been used, all parts of the plant have been used throughout the world for different medicinal applications, for different industrial applications. And so it's a well-known in our back history. It's a well-known plant that we spend a lot of time with as humans. Now, all we know of it is, ooh, you shouldn't grow that. Pull it out immediately. It's going to kill your children. We talk about it every fall as how deadly it is, and don't touch it. The truth is something in between. These berries contain a seed on the inside. It's a beautiful fleshy berry. And inside there are seeds. And I'm gonna pry one out somewhere. There we go. There's a seed on my fingernail. They're small. In that seed is a couple different toxins. One of the chief ones is phytolactotoxin. It's kind of fun to say, phytolactotoxin. And it is similar to the toxin that we find in the skin of a potato that's gone green, solanine. It's going to cause digestive upset. In this case, it may cause pretty severe digestive upset depending on how much you eat. Now, the flesh of this berry has been used for hundreds of years in muffins and pies and jellies and wines. It's been used in dye. As you can see, it's all over my fingers. It's not deadly. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with the juice of this berry. And that's where knowing about this plant a little bit can tell you, oh, the potato isn't deadly either. The apple isn't deadly. Neither is this. We just have to know a little bit about it. So these seeds are really small. And if we were to nick this, if I were to chew it up in my mouth, I'm going to release those toxins. And I'm likely going to give myself a bellyache. But when people make jelly or they make juice to be able to make a thick syrup for a pie, they would boil this down and put it in what's called a jelly bag. And that leaves everything behind, the skin and the seeds. Of course, whenever I do one of these, I'm going to have every car in the tri-state area come through here. So I apologize for the noise. But this berry, your kids can paint, they can finger paint with it, they can dye. In fact, it used to be chief amongst a natural way to dye our food. This is way better than the stuff that they have on the market, red number 40 or whatever. We can talk about the degrees of toxicity in this plant. If I were to try and eat this right here, this is brimming with that toxin. This is going to make me violently ill. It won't be pleasant. In a controlled manner, people have used it around the world for getting everything in your system that you don't want in, out. And I would definitely say it's on the level of cathartic. Everything's going to the exits as fast as they can go, and it's not going to be pleasant. Nobody wants that. I'm not going to eat it. I don't want to eat it. I don't recommend you eat it at this level, because when it gets older like this, the toxins that are in it are much stronger. I don't recommend that you chew up the berry or grind up the berry or pop it in and eat it on the trail. It's not a nutritional. We use this for a targeted medicine. So you can tincture it. You can tincture it for a lot of different reasons that I will cover in, I think I'm going to spend some time on poke. And if you're interested in spending some time on poke, or if you're interested in a class or going deeper into this plant, it's fascinating, the history that we have with it. So let me know. Drop me a line. I'd love to collect some people's names that are interested in this. Don't eat this. The green berries, we don't chew on these. This is going to concentrate the toxin. The seeds are going to concentrate the toxin. The root concentrates the toxin, and in fact, it concentrates it the most of all the rest of the plant. We don't eat the root, but we can use it in healing preparations, just like we use the berries in healing preparations. But we have to know the plant. That's what's missing right now in our world, is that we are trying to replace our relationship with the green world. We're being told to fear it. We're being told that it is something that there's so many things out there that can kill you. Just stay in your house and eat this plastic food that came in a box. That's dangerous. And it does take a little bit of effort to go out, understand this. But honestly, before you put anything in your mouth or your children's mouth, you should know what it is. You should read the ingredients on the side of the plastic that's in the box that they told you was really good from the supermarket. You should understand what all those ingredients are, just like you should understand before you walk out and consume something like this. Should we fear a plant like this? Should we fear the apple or the potato? No, we shouldn't fear them. but we should understand them. We understand that solanine amplifies if this comes up above the ground and the sun hits it, and we don't necessarily want to eat that. Many people avoid the seed here. You're able to avoid the seed here. The vilification and the creation of fear separates us from our world, and there is so much out here that is simple and easy for us to use for health maintenance and also for first aid and for chronic and acute issues. Don't fall prey to that mindset. There's no reason to fear plants. There is every reason to approach them with respect and to deeply understand before you consume them, before you use them for food or medicine. But my kids, people will argue with me right away. Well, but people aren't very smart, and you just have to put out the wrong information to protect them. That is where we're in a mess right now. To tell everybody that this is poison, I never did that to my kids. I never told them this is poison, stay away, because that's a lie. This isn't poison. This berry isn't poison. The seeds have a toxicity that are not good for them. And I told them that this plant is something that mom handles and does things with, but it's not for you. And I taught them many other plants that they are free to touch and eat and make. Honestly, they made paints and things out of this anyway, but they knew not to consume it. And it was really simple to tell them that without making them afraid of it, without giving them a lie to protect them. Stop it. That is ruining our world. The good intention of lying to people because you think they aren't capable of understanding starts with lying to our kids because we think they're not capable of understanding. Explain it, be specific. This berry is not poisonous. The seeds inside contain a toxin. You must know this plant before you use it or consume it. And that's an easy thing for people to understand. It was an easy thing for my kids to understand. Stop building fear because you think you're going to protect people from their ignorance. Protect people from their ignorance by giving them the information to make the right choices. So if you're interested in learning more about poke, let me know in the comments. And if you want more of this, hit subscribe out here on whatever video processor you're watching this on. Let me know whether you want to hear more truth about what's out in the plants, because I'd like to put more of it out. Thanks for joining me.